Welcome to Improv 419, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the improv community right here in Toledo, Ohio. Each episode, I'll sit down with local performers to talk about what makes improv exciting, terrifying, hilarious, and life-changing. You'll get behind-the-scenes stories, personal journeys, and maybe a few scenes and laughs along the way. If you've ever wondered what really happens on and off the stage, or if you've thought, improv sounds fun, but I could never, then you're in the right place. You'll get the Improv 411 here on Improv 419. I'm your host, Lindsay, and welcome. Today's guest is a regular performer at Hearsay in Ann Arbor. He's on the Friday Night House team 11 Non-Blondes, a cast member and writer on Who Can Say, and 1/4 of my personal favorite team, Tall Boys. Introducing the very talented, the very funny, and the very tall Pete Williams. Hi, Pete. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for having me.
Very happy to talk with you about improv today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's kind of when I'm not working, that's where all my time goes at the moment.
Yeah, very much the same. And I don't know anything about your beginnings in the improv world.
Yeah.
How'd you get your start?
Well, unlike most people that I improvise with now, I am untrained. I did improv in undergrad for 2 years and then took a 10-year hiatus and then met my wife on campus where I did improv originally and did a little bit more. And then I was like, oh, this is fun. And then took another long hiatus. And then in 2014, when Hearsay Brewing opened in Ann Arbor, I was like, oh, this is a thing I used to really enjoy doing. I should do it again. And went, and the rest is history. I've been doing it now 2 years, almost weekly.
Wow, I'm really shocked. So you haven't taken classes, like official classes or anything?
I never went through a curriculum,
Wow.
no. I took a couple like one-offs here and there. And when I got out of undergrad, I went to school in Connecticut. And I grew up outside New York City, so after undergrad, I moved back with my parents and went into Manhattan. And there was a little theater near UCB called The Magnet, and I took a couple one-off classes there, but never like committed to you have to go through all the hoops. And part of that's because I'm an elitist East Coast jerk, and I believe that I can just do whatever I want. So I just didn't commit, and yeah. Coming back into it, I was like really afraid that I was going to have to do something like that, but it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I would say so. I had no idea. So did you find immediately that it came very natural to you? Was this like a form you did at home or like banter with your friends or anything?
I mean, yeah, like let anyone I hang out with, right? It's like I'm just here to riff with you. It doesn't really matter what we're doing, but when the theater reopened, they did a thing called Dust the Rust Off, and I remember literally walking. I could tell you the first scene that I did. It was like a 3-line scene, and I was like, I'm going to build a campfire, and then I was like, yep, I remember exactly what this feels like. I'm right back in it. Like, I want to do this as much as I can, and that was like an 8-week thing, and I was like, yep, I'm hooked again. This is fun, and it's a mile from my house, so it's like no excuse. What
keeps bringing you back to it? Like when you kept taking hiatus and like, oh, being drawn back towards improv?
Wow, what a fantastic question. I think for me, it feels instinctual to be on stage and to have some inside jokes with some friends, and then the audience gets to be in on that inside joke too. And carrying people through to some dumb thing that I came up with a few minutes ago. And they're like, oh, that's why. That's very validating. That's very fun. And the other thing I'll add is I've never done stand-up. I've never had an interest in it. And I think part of it is because I actually, as a first principle, I really believe in deliberate practice and improving a craft, which is a polar opposite approach that I have to comedy, which is that I hate telling the same joke more than once. And I can't possibly do it, honestly. I get impatient with myself if I try to tell the same joke again. It might be a limiting belief. I don't know.
I have a very similar feeling with that because it almost feels insincere if it's not in the moment, is why I avoided stand-up. this whole time is because it is perfecting one singular joke, but it no longer feels like it's in the moment if you repeat it so many times. So when you step out on stage, do you feel like you are creating something brand new each time?
Yeah, absolutely. And for a long time, that also was what drove nervousness, as we all get, I think, in this gig. But not anymore. Now it's a very freeing feeling because there are no expectations, just the form. And in my case, my shows on Friday nights, we're just playing games. We're playing games for 90 minutes. All kinds of different games with rules that we effectively made up. And if we break those rules, no one's keeping score. It's okay. And that's really fun.
Yeah, the audience is along for the ride the whole time.
Yeah, totally. I do have a lot of respect, though, for stand-ups and going back to the idea of deliberate practice. They are trying to perfect something. And for me, that's not material. It's form and presentation instead of specific words, sequence, delivery, etc.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. I find you to be a very intentional player. Like, it's one of my questions that I wanted to ask you is when you step out, what are you focusing on with your scene partner? Like, what are you listening for or watching for? Because it seems like you're just very attentive.
Listening is the most important skill in this, and thank you. That's a very high compliment. I think most of the time I step out with a dumb idea, and I'm like, all right, I heard something in there that I can make a reference to in some way that goes A to C, so let's see if we can get there. It's probably my instinct most of the time. The thing that I really like doing is, and you've seen me play Tall Boys the most. Mm-hmm. Tall Boys is a tag form. And in a tag form, one of the most fun things you can do is mess with time and space. So not only am I trying to make a joke about something that somebody just said, but I'm also trying to pull us into a different dimension, potentially. And it's just like, what can I convey to people very quickly and simply that sets me up for some kind of payoff later? Mm-hmm. And that later is not very long in my brain. Whereas like I have a lot of respect for improvisers who at the start of a 25-minute montage are like, they watch the source scene for 3 minutes and then they're like, great, I know what we're doing in 18 minutes. And I'm like, holy moly, good, great. I mean, to be clear, like there's going to be lots of discoveries along the way, but they're like, I have an idea of where we're going to kind of put a bow on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a tip for finding the game as quickly as you do? Because with the Tall Boys especially, you know, they're my favorite. And with the Legrand, is that the correct form?
We call it the Legrand.
Legrand.
Which the Legrand meaning whenever somebody tags in, they have to be taller in some way.
Okay. Yeah, like a bigger character, right?
A bigger character. I mean, literally the first time, this is not your question, but the first time that we did the Legrand, the conceit was the only thing that could be bigger was size. So we started off as ants. And at the end of our first time we ever did it for 10 minutes, we got to dogs. And then the second time we came back, we had another 10 minutes and we got from dogs to humans. And that's where things really got complicated in terms of size. We started playing with status at that point. And it was, I'm the president of this small university. Well, I'm the president of this large university. Well, I'm the president of this corporation, right? And we got to a point where we're like, we can't heighten size anymore, but status is fun, and status invites other ways of being tall. We started playing with wealth. We started playing with age. One of my favorite ones early on in the Tall Boys was somebody was a union boss, and so we're like, who's better than a union boss? An astronaut, obviously. So yeah, the Legrand. Sorry, your original question was about games. So I guess
I also have big characters as one of my questions too. So you answered that one.
Big characters in the sense that we have to be big. No, I guess just like game and character. I am the biggest person. Wow, we just can't do. We're all doing big content here. Yeah. The challenge that I find I'm most guilty of, probably as a flaw, is too complex of a character, too complex of an idea. Simplicity is best. And I actually learned this through teaching improv one time in a corporate event recently. And I said, we were just doing categories. You know how you like go back and forth on a category, you point at somebody else in a circle. Mm-hmm. And people at this corporate event, as you might imagine, when asked to add to a category, want to be very clever. As soon as somebody gets a laugh, everybody wants to get a laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did it stop the process, but people stopped listening. They were more interested in trying to be funny, and that was the lesson. And I'm like, can't say this out loud and then not do it. So trying to be really simple, and trying to lend myself to discovery as opposed to invention, which is something that you can do in improv, but is a crutch in a lot of ways. So just trying to be out there with a simple idea, heightening whatever the thing was that was said last in a tag form. That's your job, right? And then pull somebody with you on an adventure and see what you get. That's my MO.
Do you find that listening to the audience laugh affects the player in the same way as in that game, the category game?
When you say the players, do you mean all the players or me as a player?
I guess you as a player.
Yeah, because I think I have a very different mental model from a lot of my fellow performers. Actually, I don't know if this is true, but I'll say that I am the type of person that I'm trying to make myself laugh first. And generally, everything that I do, I think is funny. I don't know if this sounds extremely hubris, like whatever, but so if the audience is not coming along, that's okay. Sometimes that can be scary, but I try to free myself of that expectation and just continue to try. Actually, well, it was first me, and now the 11 Non-Blondes, my Friday night team, I'm really trying to make my teammates laugh. That's really my goal. And breaking them in scene and on the sideline is actually part of what we enjoy about playing with each other so much. And we've been doing that show for over it'll be 2 years in July. And it's a true joy to keep doing it. It's so fun.
It sounds really like it is such an enjoyment to make people close to you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're performing, do you hear the audience at all? Because I hear.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm not so. I don't know. I'm not so full of myself that I'm just like no. There's no one else in there. It's just you and me now. We're in the scene. I for sure want to make people laugh. And one of the advantages of doing a show for so long, you start to hear certain laughs and you're like, I know who that is. We have a couple regulars coming to the show on Fridays and it's like, oh, okay. Ted thought that was funny. Awesome. That's great. So
now you're playing for Ted.
So sometimes we're playing for Ted. Ted Zeller, patron of that show for a short time, and he's probably the quickest on the draw for suggestions, that's for sure. So
that's helpful.
Well, it can be, but we try to temper it out because he's got them all the time, and we'll use a couple Teds, but we want to give everyone a chance, right?
Right. You can't have audience favoritism.
Yeah, exactly right. The Google reviews would destroy us if we had audience favoritism.
Yeah, unless it was all Ted doing the reviews.
Oh man, don't call me out on my secret, okay? That's how we keep the show going.
You do long form and short form regularly. Do you have a preference for which one?
Wow, what a good question. The Blondes do it all, right? On Friday nights, we do short form games. We have what we like to call mid form as well, where we'll do a 10 to 12 minute scenic type thing to close out our first half of our show, and then we'll do a montage at the end. So you get a little bit of everything. But the advantage that the Blondes show has, being a 90-minute show, is you go into the long form at the end, and we try to do 20 to 25 minutes, depending on if there's a show after us or how much time we have left. You have all the material to draw from the last 90 minutes. And the audience, as you know, as an improviser, is utterly delighted when you pull something from an hour ago into this set, and you're like... And that, honestly, one of the biggest laughs I ever got, do you want to hear this silly story? One of the biggest laughs I ever got was we were playing a game called Excuses in the first half of the show. And the way this game works is, somebody's late for work. They have to guess as to why. Somebody in the audience, they were like, okay, so they were late to work. What was the reason? And so they're like, well, they had a bumblefoot. And we're like, what? The host, my friend Sean, was like, what's a bumblefoot? I'm like, oh, it's a type of disease a chicken gets when they've done, something has happened to them. It's like on their foot, it's an infection. And Sean very graciously said, let's set up the improvisers for success. Let's do a different excuse. Cut to an hour later, it's probably like the 20th minute of the montage. Like we're pretty much closing it up. And there was a gangster scene where a mob boss was reprimanding an underling for not doing a good job heisting or hustling or whatever it was. And I just came out and I was like, "Oh, boss, you want me to give him the Bumblefoot?" And the whole audience went bananas, and they went bananas in the best laughs that we get in the Blondes are laughs where the front row or some section of the audience laughs first. And then other people are like, "Why are they? I remember that. Now I get the joke." And it's this thing that bounces around the room, and we have to pause. We have to pause the show for laughter. So the Blondes, you set yourself up. You have 60, 75 minutes to set yourself up for a lot of material, which I love. Long form, and the people who are really good at it, they can set themselves up like that. But they're starting at minute 0 with no material, and then 20 minutes later they're having that type of effect, right? And I have a huge amount of respect for that. It's probably weaker for me on my if you were to make a radar chart, right, of it's like a shape of different strengths and weaknesses that you most typically see in like a fighting game. Mm-hmm. Long form would be probably on the weaker side for my skill set. I definitely think I play fast and loose and fun in short and even like mid form. And when I have the advantage of a lot of material to draw from, that's really fun. But I would love to continue to get better at long form and play within that space, because there's plenty of amazing improvisers out there like, this is all I want to do, and I'm like, awesome, man, I wish I could do that too, for sure.
If I could disagree with you,
sure, as
far as your capabilities in long form, is duoplicity considered long form?
Oh,
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm abusing the term mid to just mean time, but yeah, sure, let's call it long form.
You have one of my favorite scenes that I've really ever seen, but was in that show as the father that had custody of the son on the moon.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
You found you and Charlie found the game so fast without even speaking yet. It was really impressive to see.
Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, I remember that scene. That was actually one of the best scenes I've ever done. Thank you for reminding me of that. The initiation was the thing I was most proud of about that scene, because we, as in Blonde's rehearsal that week, we had been working on saying less, and so I initiated in that scene with environment. I was poking my hand into something. I was like, I'm fixing something, and my scene partner, what was his name?
I think it's Charlie Donahue.
Charlie. He said something like, "When is it going to be fixed?" And I was like, "Oh, he knows what we're doing. Great." And then I said, "Oh, yeah." Actually, what was my character? It's like something like, "Hey, it's going to be fixed soon, there, kiddo." I can't remember how we got there, but because duoplicity has music, and so yes. I decided that we were in space because the music just made me feel like spacey. Yeah, I'm fixing something in space. We ended up on a spaceship. We ended up being a father and son. Mm-hmm. And
the wife got custody of Earth.
The wife got custody of everything, including Earth. Yes, and that was quite the discovery. I think my wife and I had just started watching Arrested Development again, and I Have the Worst Lawyers was probably popping around in my head. I was like, "Yep."
Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Oh man, we're almost there. We're in season 2.
Oh, I won't spoil it then.
No, I've seen it many times.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to it consistently when I'm trying to do scenes, because object work is so difficult. Just to remember environment work and then to walk out in silence is really, it's hard to not fill the silence. Do you ever struggle with that?
Yes, absolutely. A couple times I took classes with Brian James O'Connell, BOC. He is working on a book, and he gave me a draft of his book. He gave all students a copy of the draft of the book, and he likes to say that you are enough, and whatever single idea you're doing is enough, and you don't need to qualify it, and you don't need to justify it. Just do a thing. So lately, my thing has been, some kind of, I'm poking around at something, or actually one of my favorite things to do is saw something, and it's either a sandwich. One time it was a body. It could be some wood. It can be anything, and leave it to my scene partner to decide what it is.
Okay.
And that's very typical. I had to kind of really become more patient to initiate that way.
Yeah, patience is something I'm working on. Do you have any advice for any newcomers that would be interested in joining improv?
You had asked me about sort of stepping out and what you step out with. And I would say that as a newcomer become comfortable with stepping out with nothing, right? And trust that you're going to find it, and trust your scene partner is going to help you find it. Two people step out with nothing. Your scene could be about two people who don't know anything and have nothing. That's called like a character-driven scene, right? And then you just mirror each other, mirror and heighten. That's really funny. It doesn't really matter what it's about. Just do it, right? And just it's deliberate practice, man. So deliberate practice is about being unafraid of failure, because in order to develop a skill further, you have to recognize that you are not at the level you wanted to be at, and you're going to fail on that journey inevitably. So be unafraid.
Well, do you want to be unafraid to do some improv right now?
I've never been less afraid than I am right now.
Our suggestion was trees.
I got to ship way more of these teas.
You do.
If I don't hit my quota.
You're running low. You're running low, George.
So low. Ugh. And Martha's going to kill me. Martha, you know how hard Martha's been on me about my quotas?
Again? Martha, you can't, there's nothing you can do to make her happy. Even if you hit him.
It's like you see right through me, Deborah. You're so nice.
Ugh, George. I mean, we've been shipping for a long time together.
We're a pair of shippers.
I would say we're the top shippers.
Well,
I ship it.
I'm really on your back. You know, you're carrying me up this mountain. You're the topmost shipper. I'm like very, mid.
I don't say that about yourself, George. How many times I gotta lift you up? I gotta lift you up from where you're putting yourself. You're not so low down.
Deborah, Martha publishes a scoreboard, right? It says top shippers, and there's your name right at the top. And gosh, if I don't hitch my wagon to yours, I don't know. It could be the end of me for these golf tees and this shipping business.
What can I say? I work harder.
You do.
I don't have a Deborah. I mean, I don't have a Martha to get home to. Like I just ship. You got to devote time to your family, and I'm alone.
My family they took away so much of my time.
You could be number one without them.
I know. But the government, they just want us to have families.
I didn't sign the contract. Don't tell nobody.
I signed it. I signed the Constitution. I was there when the government set the laws.
George Washington, if you wouldn't have married Martha, you could be top shipper.
It would be I could finally retire.
But here you are.
Here I am, post-war, trying to lead a golf-based business.
You got all these people following you.
And all they want to do is play a game that nobody knows how to play yet here in 1779.
I don't know how to play that game.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's not clear why we play it, but we do. Maybe it's a game that I invented to support my own business.
And what would you call that game that you...
Oh, definitely golf.
Oh, okay, yes.
Golf in its vertically integrated business.
You really have your hands in many baskets there, George.
Found a country, found a business. Surely this won't be a problem in 250 years.
No, definitely not. I once heard that if you focus on one thing and train it really well, then you become a master of that.
You become a master. Yes, that's right.
But here you are, you're doing all these things. You got your golf, you got your family.
Well, I never have time to play.
Oh, okay.
I only have time for shipping and my family.
Okay.
Martha, I just love her so much. I can't leave her, even though she berates me with her scoreboards and your shipper days. They might be behind you.
I think that's all right. I think it's all right because I get to stay number one.
Deborah, would you like to be a U.S. Senator?
I thought you'd never ask.
I have the power, I think.
The ultimate.
The unitary executive power, yes. I built that into the Constitution, that's for sure. That was the intent.
As a gift, I'd love to maybe fasten a ship for you or a boat for you to sail?
You do that for me?
I guess as your first senator, I'm obligated.
First and best in my book. My goodness. This is exactly how quid pro quo is meant to work. This is so nice.
Yeah, friends just giving friends titles in government. Well, I'll vote for you should the time come around.
Voting, what's that?
I'll sign your name on a piece of paper and say that I vouch for you.
You'll have a declaration of your own. Well, that's good, yes. I think I've set a precedent that declarations are all you need in this world to get everything that you want until you meet a talented young person such as yourself, Deborah. Key shipping associate, U.S. Senator. Someday you're gonna go far. You're gonna be, your descendants, they'll have everything.
Well, I declare that you are my president and number 2 shipper.
Thank you. Thank you so much. When I thought I was leaving public office, I thought I'd never have a friend again. I thought I'd just be hanging out with Martha all the time and she'd be on my ass about my job. But starting this business and hanging out with you and anointing you as my Senate successor, even though that's a job I've never held, it just makes me feel so like I did something. I wasn't sure till now, but now I'm sure I did something.
I'm honored to be your ultimate success at the end of this. And maybe Martha will finally give you the approval that you've been seeking.
Could you put that into your declaration that you planned on signing? Could you make it so that Martha would do that for me? That would be great.
Oh, I'll add an addendum at the end for you.
Thank goodness. We'll call John.
Yes.
We'll call John Hancock to sign it so that it's real big.
Yes. Ahoy hoy to John. And scene. Thank you so much for being here, Pete. Do you have anything to close out the episode with?
Yeah, this is a blast. Just that coming up in June, we've got the Yes and Festival coming to Ann Arbor. So there's a website where you can find out all about that. It is yesandfest.com. We got some really big names coming out. It's going to be really fun.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to WGTE, Voices Around Us, and our producer, Chris Pfeiffer, for making this podcast possible. And of course, thank you to today's guests for sharing their stories and their love of improv. You can find Improv 419 at wgte.org/improv 419 or any podcast streaming platform. And finally, thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in and supporting. Please check out the other wonderful podcasts, part of the Voices Around Us series, and stay tuned for more Improv 419 episodes.
WGTE. Voices Around Us.